Hey there! If this is your first video of mine that you've come across, for the last few weeks we've been doing a little mini series on decolonizing messaging. And what does that even mean? What does that look like? Do we even need to decolonize our messaging? All of that we discussed in the first video, so go back about 3 weeks and check that out. In the second video, we talked about the common marketing and messaging tactics that might actually be rooted in harm and how we can find new approaches to them. Last week, we talked about reclaiming our voices and the significance of that, the challenges, how we even try to get comfy in our own voice. This week, it's a little less spilling the boba and more food for thought, or boba for thought. This week, we are talking about how we use and choose our words and messaging to create the culture we want to live in and the culture we want to leave behind for future generations. Hi, I'm Justine, messaging strategist and copywriter for phenomenal equity and social impact-driven women of color brands, here to bring our brands alive with strategic messaging and storytelling that sells. So, have you ever gone back and watched a TV show or movie that you loved growing up, and as you're watching, you cringe a little at some of the lines or some of the situations because you think, oh, that would never fly today if this were made today? Yeah, I have those moments all the time. That's why when we think about what we're saying, the stories we're telling, the messaging we're communicating, especially as culture changers, we want to think about the impact our words will have generations from now, not just today. I like to adopt the Native American principle of 7 generations, thinking 7 generations ahead, that every decision we make, how it will impact 7 generations from now. And so I use that same principle in thinking about the words we choose. As culture changers, I know that this is really important to you too, which is shaping a new kind of culture, one that's more equitable, compassionate, interdependent, collective, one that's rooted in reciprocity, in compassion, in caring and kindness, inclusivity. That's why our values are so important to our messaging, because they inform our messaging. And I often go back and ask, does this messaging align with my values? The thing is, a lot of times, especially in marketing and business, we're not thinking 7 generations ahead. We're thinking about right now, this season, this year, what's trendy right now. But if you're only trying to stay on trend or follow trends, you inevitably make yourself irrelevant eventually. And for those who maybe try to play it safe, don't want to get too political, or just don't want to ruffle feathers in some kind of way, playing it safe is not neutral. Playing it safe is more than you think. It reinforces the very systems you want to dismantle. So when we think of our words and messaging and the culture we want to create, these aren't just like add-ons to our business. Thinking about equity, thinking about inclusivity. Our words and messaging form a sustainable baseline for our business. So when you're working on your copy, when you're working on your messaging, when you're coming up with your brand voice, revisiting it, defining it, remember that business and culture are not separate. Every day we are creating, shifting, transforming, contributing to culture with the words we use and the messages we choose to communicate. You don't have to get it right all the time, because we're always evolving, always learning, and that's part of the beauty of language. But especially for my folks who are here to make a cultural difference, whether that's reforming education, reforming workplaces, shifting culture in your community, culture change starts with our words. It starts with how we speak about one another. It starts with how we speak about certain situations. It starts with our words, our messaging, our stories. Now I'm curious. In what ways are you using your words and messaging to shift culture? What are some of the ways that are most important to you? Feel free to share them in the comments or DM me or book a virtual tea. I'd love to chat with you about using words and messaging to transform our culture. Thank you for tuning in. Have a bobalicious day. Peace.